Happy New Year. Get me set. Greetings. Montreal. Big up. Bonjour. What's up, Gwaan? Alright, next time we'll think about that. Vibes cartel. Alright. All right. Greetings, folks. Welcome to Gwaan for 2022. Happy New Year. I hope the year has started off well for everybody. All the women I talked to and see from last year. It's good to see you. And Michelle, big up from Toronto. Andrew, a la Montreal. David out of Calgary, and all the people who are jumping onto Gwaan. My name is Donovan Simon. I'm with the JCAA based out in warm Calgary. So while the East gets a little bit of the cold weather, we're enjoying some mild weather. Thanks for joining us on Gwaan. Gwaan is our way of connecting to the community, talking about things that affect all of us, or association, or city, or country, Jamaica, the world. I'm lining up to have some reasoning with a brethren out of Jamaica, talking about some issues that affect all of us in different ways and affect our beloved country, but some of the issues are wide-ranging. But before we go into that, we want to do some features of Gwaan. And this one is going to be easy. The Patois word of the day is hydrin. And for the Jamaicans who are on the program, put it in the comment section. If you say to somebody, boy, that brother I'm hydrin, or what does that mean? Hydrin. So let's teach others the Jamaican patois that all of us are proud of. Let's talk about some things that are coming up, right? Let's make sure that we know that in Calgary, the JCA is having its monthly general meeting on the 29th. It's going to start at 7 o'clock. It's going to be on Zoom. If you're on our mailing list, you should have gotten that information in the weekly newsletter. If not, look out for it. And it's also on our website, and you'll see it on our social media pages as well. There's also going to be another round of family fun games night on the 5th of February. It's going to start at 7 o'clock. It's going to be virtual. Yeah, there are still some restrictions. So jump on Zoom and you'll get to play some games and win some prizes. And for those who have ever been on that, when I join, I challenge everybody. Greetings from Jamaica, Vance. Yeah. So family games night, July, I'm gonna read so far already. February 5th at 7 p.m. Of course, we continue to talk about the project that we're doing here in Calgary at our building, which is our library. We continue to focus on trying to build the single largest collection of books by Jamaican and Afro-Caribbean authors. We continue to solicit your contribution, your donations, as we build out this facility. The list keeps growing of books coming in, but there's still a lot of space. So if you've got some books that you can donate, reach out to us and let's make sure that we get it in the collection. We continue to focus also on our building, and we want to give a shout out to all our donors for our donor wall. Lots of them have supported us so far. The list continues to grow. We want to salute and say thank you to every single one of them: silver donors, gold donors, platinum donors. You can jump on our website and see how you can support the initiative, building out this facility to support the community. The St. Lucia Cultural Association out of Calgary is the latest of our silver donors, and we want to say a big thank you to every single one of those donors, everybody who has supported the Helping Hands program. We have a 14 by 16 foot wall here in Calgary that we want to get your name and your logo on. So please jump in and help us. If you want to get in, all right, no, we have to slow down on this one. So Gwaan is broadening its scope, folks. We're working on an initiative right now to take Gwaan national, which means that content and participation and production will come from Jamaican associations all across Canada. And one of the things that we need as part of this revitalization and a new flavor for Gwaan is a host. And don't worry, I'm still around, I'm still going to be contributing. But we're looking for somebody to add to the team to contribute to this new program. This is our new logo, by the way. Hope you like it. Let's hear what you think in the comment section. But we're looking for a host, somebody who understands Jamaican culture and language and is comfortable, somebody who understands social media, somebody who is energetic and personable and comfortable in front of the camera. And of course, we're also looking for that person to be a good time manager, an excellent communicator. If that's you, or if that's somebody that you know, then touch base with us. There are a number of ways to connect with us on social media. But you can also connect to us through these ways: email, phone, social. Like I said, jump on our website, and we want to get your support as we build this out to support the community and to promote Jamaican Canadian culture and to tell our stories and to share our experiences. So yeah, that's what's happening with Gwaan. Gwaan is going national, folks. All right, so for those who just joining the program, the Patois word of the day is Idrin. If you know what it means, please put it in the comments section, because we want to make sure that everybody learn a few Jamaican words, a few Jamaican Patois words every time they come on Gwaan. All right. Today we're going to have a little reasoning. I have a brethren that's been for many years, long time. So let me see if I can bring Leav-i onto our screen here, and we're going to start a conversation on a number of issues, right? Let's see. All right, give me a second here, because if I can get him on, then that would be awesome. All right, trying. Well, the internet is fighting us today. All right, while we work through that, I'm gonna play a track from this guy that I've known. This one was from way back in 2010. It was on the Strictly the Best compilation by VP Records. Let's see if we can hear it.
Never promise you a house on the hilltop. Never promise you a car with a drop top. Never promise you a smooth flowing highway. Sometimes it's gonna be bumpy going my way. Never promise you a bed of roses. Sipping tea in a garden of roses. Never promise I'll shower you with fine champagne. But your bed will never be cold, my love. You will never go hungry. Your love will never grow cold, my love. You won't ever have to worry. No, can't promise to adorn you with diamond. Love will warm you like the sun on the island. Take my heart and you know what I'm feeling. I'm the man to give you loving with meaning. We may never cruise the high sea. When I tell you I love you, believe me. See, my heart is yours. I'll never leave. Oh no. Your bed will never be cold, my love. You will never go hungry. Your love will never grow old, my love. You won't ever have to worry. Oh no, your bed will never be cold, my love. You will never be hungry. And your love will never grow old, my love. You won't ever have to worry. Oh no. See, my heart is yours. I'll never leave. Oh no, 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 no. Your bed will never be cold, my love. And you will never go hungry. And your love will never grow old, my love. You won't ever have to worry. Oh no. Your bed will never be cold, my love. Na 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 na. You will never be hungry. Our love will never grow old, my love.
Yeah, that's the voice of Andy Livingston. Trying to get him on the line here. So
You just got 24K Golden's new
let,
video.
let's see if we can sort out. Sir Leav-i, can you hear me? Well, we're having some technical things here. All right, let's do a reset. I'm gonna do a little bit of a reset and let's see if he can come back in and and share something else. This is a guy I've known from a long time, and he's actually doing a little program now on YouTube called Livi's Rhymes and Reasonings, where he mixes poetry with commentary about social issues in Jamaica. And we're going to talk about a number of things today. We're going to talk about what's happening as it relates to some of the social issues in Jamaica. You know, crime has continued to make the news, but there's also questions about leadership. We're going to have a chat about what's happening with managing COVID and how people are responding, and what are some of the suggestions about how to deal with it in a culture like Jamaica. And the other thing we were going to have a chat about, so wish me some luck on the technology here, was to look at the arts and the artists and their responsibility. How are they contributing? This is a guy who was, toured with a number of artists, and the question is how how All right, still, having some technical issues here. So let me see if I can do a reset. As you can see, his feed is doing a circling, and I'm not sure why. And if we can't make it happen, then I suppose you have to listen to me and the reasoning, and then we have to do a reset, right? But while we try and get Andrew on, one of the things I like I said, we're going to talk about was the whole issue of social structure, right? Yeah, still trying to sort it out. Uh, Still trying to sort it out, folks. Give me a second here. I tell you, technology, maybe it's a New Year thing. I think maybe my platform get Omicron. Who knows? Uh, Livy, are you hearing me? Because I'm not hearing you. Yeah, I'm doing some things in the background here, folks. But while I'm doing that, right, I still want to we start some social media stuff for Gwaan National. So let me use this opportunity. Not a lot of content there yet, but if you jump on our Instagram, you can start liking it and following us. If you jump on our Facebook, Dash Canada, you can also just follow the page. In the next little couple of days, we're going to start putting some content as we prepare for the launch of this new flavor of Watagwan, and we look forward to your support. We want to bring content from all across Canada, across Jamaica, from different sources addressing topics. We did a survey and people gave us some ideas as to what would be important and interesting to them, right? So we're gonna work at getting that content and getting the features ready. We're looking for your support to spread this around, right? So, like I said, Watagwan National, jump on Instagram, jump on Facebook. We also have a LinkedIn channel too. So, if you're one of the professionals on LinkedIn, jump on there and you can start following our page, even though it's not, we don't start populated yet. But, I am jumping on early and let's see. All right, let's try again with the technology. Liv, if you can hear me, let's test this again. Your video. All right. Let's see, because this might end up sounding like radio. But like I said, one of the things that I'll raise as we try and sort out this technology is the whole issue of culture and social dysfunction. There has been a surge in the news around criminal activity and killings and all kinds of what I'm going to call negative social issues out of Jamaica. But it happens all over the world. But as Jamaican Canadians, we tend to focus on our places and the things that are happening. Just like if we're in Calgary or Montreal or Toronto, uh, Winnipeg, Vancouver, wherever, we focus on the things that are happening there. But one of the things that we should do as we focus on what the news brings to us is try to do a little bit of soul searching and analysis and understand why some of these things are happening. Why do we still have some of these barbaric crimes that make our news? Why are they targeted in certain areas? So when we talk to somebody and explain to them the anatomy and the nature of crime, we try and explain that it's very rare that they are random, and when they happen, there are connections that you often don't see. We question the number of illegal weapons that are available in our country and why. Where did they come from, and what was the genesis of some of this? And we have to go back and look at the structure of our society, the social construct, and over time, what has happened. Why have we gotten to where we are today? Recently, the Prime Minister, Right Honorable Andrew Holness, was at a prayer breakfast, and I don't know if he broke down in tears. I didn't see the video. I just saw the news stories about his response and how he said, it was one of those things that kept him awake at night, because despite all the strategies and whether it's a crime plan or not a crime plan, but the different operational things that they have done, and they just can't seem to tame this monster. And if I had a chance to talk to the Prime Minister Holness, I'd be saying to him, but Prime Minister, if you had a child that you allowed to behave a certain way for 25 years or 30 years, how easy is it likely to be to change that child's behavior just by some spot intervention? So whether it's, a zozo, or whether it's a curfew or whatever, what is the likelihood that you're going to effect the type of change in the time frame that you want to effect these changes, just by making, building a plan and implementing them? Because chances are it would not happen. If you had a child that, was allowed for 10, 15 years from they were small to swear at you or to hit you or to shout back at you, whether in private or in public, it's what they're going to do, and it's going to become crystallized, and it's going to become what seems to be, or what is accepted as, a normal part of operations. And I want to suggest to all of us that part of the challenge that we have as a nation, and as we look at the issues, is that the social dysfunctions have been allowed to crystallize for years, for generations. And the things that started as a small issue 25, 30, 40 years ago have grown roots, branches, leaves, and all kinds of stuff. And therefore, the measures that are being taken today are in many cases ineffective to address them. And this is not a blame on politicians, at least not from where I sit, because quite frankly, the politicians have only a small part to play in both where we're at and whatever the right solutions, and I said solutions, are going to be. Because as a community, we have allowed many of these things to grow and thrive and live among us. Not saying that individually we all know and that we all contribute to what has occurred. So you might not know somebody who perpetrates crime, or somebody who imports weapons, or somebody who has become an area leader and have done, for a lane. But in many cases, we have accepted and we have hid, right? The majority has gone into hiding against the minority till over time, the output of the minority dominates the social construct. And therefore, when we try to solve it, now you think about the many demonstrations and block road and, the cries for justice and freedom that we have seen, while the majority of voices have stayed silent, or they perpetrate other social dysfunctions which just contribute to the overall problem. And what we end up with is a distribution across our nation, across our society, across our communities, of the very things that we're claiming that we want to solve. Now, I'm not saying it's easy. In fact, it's worse now than it was 20 years ago, than it was 30 years ago. And like just I said, if you plant a tree, or if you allow a child or any kind of institution to grow to the point where it becomes cancerous, and it cannot deliver anything good by the way it is structured, then there's a major rethink that has to occur. And therefore, we can't stop and blame. And this is one of the things I was going to talk to Leav-i about as an artist. There's been conversations about how dancehall culture has promoted crime and violence. And gun culture has been around in music all over the world for a long time. You look at rap music and question, has rap music been a major contributor to social decline in the countries where rap is popular? And rap is popular all over the world, just like dancehall. Dancehall is in Africa, dancehall is in Europe, dancehall is in Asia. So the question is, how much influence does that particular genre really have on the social structure and the behaviors and the culture that we have? And the question then is, why isn't the opposite also true? Because good music has been produced, good art has been produced, positive music has come out of many, many artists all over the place. So is it that they're not having an effect? Culture music, people, the lovers rock guys and the culture guys have had their audiences, and they've been doing a lot of work over the years. So I don't know. I'm not an artist. I'm not in the space, but I don't know if any other artists have claimed any responsibility around solving the social problems. Because, in my opinion, it is not a one-sided uh, object. There are multiple sides that require contributions from all over. We could talk about the role of organizations or social organizations like the church and the schools and the political parties and the unions, right? Don't they have a role to play in the social construct that we see and that we that continues to produce what we have? And can't we also see that there's so many good people that the society or Jamaican community has produced? In the diaspora, look at us. There are many of us who thrive and do well, but some of the cultural or social dysfunction, that's the right terms, the social dysfunction travels with us as well, right? Somebody was telling me the other day about going on a flight and just the behavior of one of the other passengers. A flight out of Jamaica into Toronto, and I was saying, it's interesting because sometimes there's always one that behaves that way. So the question for all of us, and like I said, it will be really cool to get a reasoning going here. The technology, folks, is not working for me tonight, but what do we contribute to the social construct, and really, what are the things that we will need to do in order to correct some of the dysfunctions? Here's my take. Many of the dysfunctions start at the home, the family level, whatever the family structure. And there is no claim that the nuclear family is the solution to the social ills. A single parent family can work as well, because in the same way single parent families have produced good, some of them have produced evil. Nuclear families have done the same thing, but I think the structure of how those families operate influence the social construct. And then we broaden that out to community. And one of the things we were going to talk about was the leadership. How does the leadership in the communities, and leadership in the community here, folks, doesn't just mean the councillor and the MP and the political leaders. There are a range of leaders in the community, and in some cases, many of them have given up. Many of them have lost their way. Many of them have sent out many mixed messages and have lost their influence, because that's one of the things that I think happened with many of our communities. The leaders lost their influence, and the question has to be, like, why? What is it that happened that caused these leaders to have lost their influence, right? All right. And all right, here we go. I think we're making some progress here for us. Give me a second. Brethren.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, man. Yeah, man.
Well, hold on, no, man. I have this Bose lavalier mic I'm trying to use, and it was blocking me from hearing you. And then I have this phone with pretty camera. So the visuals now go so pretty, but at least
no, but you're there.
we can get a discussion going.
Leav-i.
Yeah, man. Eh?
Well, that's a long time, don't you?
Whole heap of years, brother.
All right. I'm glad for link up. See, I do a thing I'm a boy, and make we have a little reasoning. And for the folks that are watching, Andrew Livingston, brethren from long time. And like I was saying to you, he's doing a little program on YouTube. So check it out, rhymes and reasoning, poetry and some art. And may I play one of your track early, I know.
I heard it.
Yeah,
I heard it.
Yeah,
but for this discussion, I think there's a track with me and Luciano.
You ever see the Lucy one, man? Yeah, man. Listen to the Lucy one as well, you know.
Yeah,
But say, all right, I'm gonna pick that one. I come. I like the vibes.
yeah, man.
All right. Like I said, little background, folks. Livia and I, went back to the days of telephone company, when they were taking on some men to be telephone operators. Believe it. Way back in the days, young and fresh and come out of high school and try start a thing.
And
And
I actually was the first. Was
all right,
was the
first
first of
batch.
4.
Yeah, man. That's it. Andrew and a couple of them, man.
Devon and Ozzy
Yeah,
and
that's it.
Carl. Carl is still working there as at in management somewhere.
Yeah. So and it was a great experience enough away.
Yeah.
First real kind of work where I get good money and uniform, all of them things. But something that taught us a lot. I mean, you build your craft and you start your art, your music career out of that.
Yeah, man. I tell people that is where I learned to use my voice.
All right. Well, there you go. Right? There you go. All right.
Yeah,
I don't know if you hear some of the reason I'm going to kind of start off with. And, I'm going to jump into it today. Social dysfunction.
Yeah.
We have a society now where, there's a crime this and crime that, and the politician must do this and the government must do that and the commissioner must solve it, and police, right? And
Yeah.
it is a tree that has, grown roots and leaves and branches, right? And somehow we seem to think that we can just chop off a leaf and solve the problem. What is your take on it?
It's a tough one for take on. But for me, leaders must lead. Leaders must lead. And I mean at every level. I think we have 2 main problems. We have a governance problem and a corruption problem.
Right.
Those are our main 2. And from that, everything spills off.
Right.
See? So for me, we need leaders to lead, governments to craft programs and stick to it. We need, for argument's sake, a proper education system, well funded. And it's kind of my baby that I talk about it all the time. I think we can fund it. I've spoken with people who deal with money, chartered accountants and things, people who deal with taxes, and them tell me it can be funded. We have for argument's sake housing trust money, and every so often government dip in it, and then use it for do everything else.
Right.
I am saying we don't need to contribute 5.5% to housing trust. Housing that poor people can't afford anyway. So most of us throwing money into this fund is a slush fund for other people. Right. So I am saying take 2% off of it, tack that on to the head tax, and then treat the head tax like a dedicated fund, much like how we treat the NHT money.
Right.
And we can fund education. I'm talking about proper free education with the attendant services will go with it. Like we in the States and Canada, we say school district police, we say social workers, the social services following up on what education is. So they want to know why a child is not in school and stuff like that.
Right.
And it can absolutely be funded. It was done in Barbados. Our brethren name, it wasn't Owen Arthur. Who was it? Barrow. Sacrifice him political career on that altar. Now Barbados are about 98% literacy.
Yeah, but hold on. You hear what you just said? Sacrifice is political.
Yeah, man, because we don't want no career politician around here,
But that is not what we have. It's not the culture that has been created around where we are. If you can, the 3-term and 4-term and all of them something, right? You not get enough out of it. I mean, we have politicians who have been in parliament for 30 years.
There's a politician right now holding down a constituency. So we say him already choose the youngster who is going to push him in his wheelchair to parliament.
Right.
So the man want dead in the thing. And then who now dead in it and hand it over to them children, like says a rite of passage.
Right. So we're back to then the perspectives that the leaders take is maybe a part of it, but isn't the perspectives of the followers a contributing accessory to where we're at? So I was saying communities. You go in a lot of communities in Jamaica right now, and it has just crystallized over time. And if one man says certain thing is gospel and accepted, and if another man says certain thing, it make no sense. Right? And we go along this tribal path and ignore the output and the outcome from the social system.
Another one. I don't know if you were watching the last podcast I did, where I was talking about politics and its link to the gun culture in Jamaica.
Yeah.
I did some research. We've been at it from 1944.
Long time doing.
Ever since Buster left the PNP and start JLP.
Yeah.
The wars have started. So it was from peacock stick to machete to guns. It started out as a 38, a one pop, a bucky, as me and you don't know about that.
Yeah.
Until in the 70s, we say high-powered weapons come in.
Yeah.
The politicians have done this to this country. Now the followership, the leadership they deserve.
Now them contribute to it. Because after a while, in all fairness, I mean, when you and I used to work at Duke Street and we work night, we could have go a street at 1 o'clock,
Which is what we used to do all the time. In fact, when I work at evening shift, I used to leave, go a Stone Love.
You know, see?
And then go home or find my way home. And nobody, no worries.
There you go. So I'm saying what started off, I'm going to say, with contributions from some politicians, it has grown past politicians.
Another one. If you let us, well, you're there, Canada now. Enough snow. If you start a snowball up at the top of the hill, all you have to do is let it go if you want a big snowball, So if you create a situation as a politician, all you have to do is you create it and let it go and it serve you till you're dead.
But many of those who created it have died, and those who are here have inherited 2 snowballs and all kinds of other things that in some cases them never really start, but them join the flow and became a part of it. And after a while, snowball not have no brakes, for those of us do that Canada, after a while, you just hope you stop.
Well, you see, we have created a problem here where, like I said, I do followership get the leadership that they deserve, but we need some people, some good. Jamaica need some good men thinking about the welfare of this country and stuff. Our problem is that we have a culture of acquiring things.
Yeah.
And that's what why I'm doing this, that I'm doing now in terms of my podcast and the way my music I go. It is time that somebody stops and say, what of the next generation?
Yeah, but are we getting enough people? Because one of the things I was saying earlier is the impact of the silent majority on where we are. And for those who have turned their eyes away, for those who, figure if them can live in a gated community and them can live uptown and them can have their own security and all the other things, then they will become immune. But I've always said, and I wrote about this many years ago, that you have to drive past the poor people who go up the hill, The man who can hit up within 5 minutes, he must go drive through a ghetto. Right?
Exactly.
And if he doesn't think about that as part of the way he sees the social construct, it's only a matter of time. Before
it come through your gate and a gated community. And so what we need now is people to get involved. We have people are scared to get involved because of how politics is run in Jamaica. You can't show your face.
It's not always a politics thing. Like when a youth say, for those of us, I mean, those who are the high school rivalry, Leav-i's a KC man and he's a barman, right?
So we shouldn't even talk now. That I tell you.
No, but everything is what, But when a lane, you think about the lanes on North Street, and me I think about the lanes on Red Hills Road. That
Yeah.
the lane of them one done now, you know.
Yeah, man.
I mean, when you go high school and me I go high school, at the whole territory, you know, if that the number of an area leader, no one lane. That not nothing to do with politics. That is a social construct. That's a straight community.
Yeah, but you see what happened? While the Dons have kind of carved out a way for themselves, and now they are the tail that is wagging the politician the dog. Right? The politician now answers to the Don.
Yeah.
While that is so, we are saying that you see while for 4 years, politics no matter. But you see when election year come, every foul find it roost.
Yeah.
So that lane that have its own Don, that is just him own Don, transforms himself into a JLP or a PNP Don when election come, and the only voice you have is that X that you mark.
Right.
You know? And so people are scared.
Right.
People are scared. What we saw the last election is that 40% of the electorate come out and vote. Was it 40 or was it 20?
No, closer to 40. I think
Closer to 40. So we're saying the 60% because
the silent majority.
it was so one-sided.
Back to the silent majority.
But so the silent majority need to find the power in themselves.
All right. So how we do that? And let's segue into, you know, things like the arts and music, because, you know, the prime minister a while back, the prime minister a while back said, boy, the dancehall culture and the gun culture is a contributor to some of the social ills and crime. And Tanya and a couple other people come out as a PM top, and is what you're talking about, right? Talk to me. What's your take on where the leadership and the voices come from?
All right, so hold on there. You see, every artist who worth him salt will tell you, so when me open my mouth, people move. Me can get people for do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But when it come down to owning up to what he has gotten them to do,
yeah,
him wash him on night, and him point to movie, and him point to everything else. My take as an artist, and me tell people this all the time. I tell my friends as artists, I say, we have to do the little what we can do, you know. You cannot be looking at what other people can do. You have to sweep out your yard first. If your yard sweep out, then you can look a field.
Right.
And so nobody wants to take responsibility. But when them popular, them tell you, say, them can't, anything with them say people do it. So the music, of course, the music is driving it as well. You know, but the music is just a part of a wider culture. So while the music is reflecting what is happening, but also promoting what is happening. Back in the day, can I tell you this? Gregory Isaacs.
Yeah.
Did you know that Gregory Isaacs could have been called a Don up where you go school?
Yeah.
Anything Gregory said.
Anything from Purity, yeah.
All right. But what did Gregory sing, Simon? Gregory sing love songs.
Yeah.
Gregory sing peace.
Mm-hmm.
And what did we get as a society? Okay, so outside of the politics and thing, in the 70s, we had a really harmonious society, you know, outside of when politics are fight.
Right.
People were jamming to the tunes of love and thing.
Yeah, no, but hold on. Rude boy music has always been around, you know.
Yeah.
So let's not make it seem as if boy is dancehall start rude boy music. Rude boy music.
No man, dance.
Right? No, but sometimes I think we get into thinking that, you know, is a, you know, whether we're gonna start from Briggy and Ninja, Bounty, you know, through to Vibes and you know, Skilly and whoever they're about now, as if that is where it has always been. You have rude boy thing from long time.
Yeah, man, rude boy thing was rude boy thing long time. But the truth though is that looking at the archives, how many rude boy songs you had that was making it on the radio? Because radio had a filter system. So dancehall was dancehall and radio was radio.
Yeah.
Now every little disc jockey, what him do, first of all, Piola. So the culture is for sale.
You're back to
I can't
corruption.
sing anything. Any little fly by night can't sing anything. I'm pay feet.
All right. So if that's the case, so now we're back to individuals and the contributions that people are making to the social dysfunctions. Are you talking about corruption? Everything can
Yeah.
buy. Name your price.
Anything can.
You know, there
Exactly.
was a time when certain disc jack, and you know what we're talking about in terms of radio. A man drop off a tape and an envelope, and you
Yeah.
think said that tune they're gonna play while you could have sing the best tune that now play and play it one time like 10 o'clock in the morning and nobody hear it again. Right?
Yeah.
So
But
so
no,
you got
that
the individual
envelope has become a motor car. It's a serious thing.
Yeah.
If right now, if you were to, and I don't even know why them do it, because them people don't listen to radio no more in Jamaica. But if you call a this jockey, I tell you $100,000 right on the bar.
Yeah.
You know, and if you give him a little thing, you get 2 play and him stop. You see, man beat up this jockey at Jamaica, you know? See? But them deserve it because they're doing that. We have to have some standards. Who is no on radio? Remember when TVG, when RJR and JBC, you remember what they sounded like on radio? And this is not to say that patois, because we remember when Dread at the control, Mikey Dread.
Yeah, Mikey T. Yeah.
We used to bleach a night time, a Friday night time for listen to Mikey Dread.
Yeah.
I play some reggae music and I talk some patois.
Yeah.
But generally, you had standards.
Yeah. But it's not a societal thing, though, Leav-i. So, when we talk about standards, it's back to discipline, and it's back to if we want a certain type of society. And that is where I said, it's an equation. The majority have to make some noise and claim a certain type of society. One of the things I've always questioned is how the same Jamaican, no matter where you come from, so it's not a ghetto thing or uptown thing. You jump on an airplane and you go to another society and you conform. So conformance is not a difficult thing.
But
right?
but I heard you as you went there. As you went there, I heard you in the monologue earlier. Just talking about how society is now structured and things. When I was a youth growing up in Rallington town, you see, we had doctors, we had lawyers, we had policemen, we have everybody in the ball that make up this society, this community. And so like us younger boys, you get a little trouble on the street, as we say, you play a little football, because you're too little bad old amongst your friend them and thing. And when you see these people, you draw up.
Yeah. Because
you understand that here is a responsible figure coming through, a respected figure, and you need to have respect. What have we done? For one reason or the other, we've moved out. I myself move out. Yeah? We have moved out and we have left the people to their own devices. There's no guidance there. There's nothing for them to look up to. There's nothing for them to emulate. There's no, what you call it? May I get too old, I know. So sometimes the word fail me.
Yeah.
But there's no figure to model yourself off of. So what do you expect the kids to do? I go down at Tivoli, and anywhere I go in the world, I talk to people because I want to know what going on in a society. My favorite thing is when I go into other societies, is to sit down with a native and say, how your history, how your society run, and learn something. So when I go England, when I go Germany, I go Japan, I go down to the Caribbean, and I sit with the people and try to get a feel of who they are as a people. We love here Tivoli, and Jamaica have a relationship with Mr. Seaga where you know that.
Yeah.
But I talk to Tivoli people. I have occasion for go down at Tivoli, and I sit in with a principal of a school down there who grew up down there.
Yeah.
The woman said what that man did for them was expose them to a better life.
Right.
In terms of not how him build Tivoli, this man would take a group of them having done well in school and say, okay, I'm going to let you experience a plane ride, and then buy tickets and fly them to Montego Bay, and they would have somebody drive them back in. He would invite them to certain functions and seat them a certain place and then see how things run.
Right.
You know what I mean? He would take them to dinner just so that them understand how to use knife and fork and what the social graces are.
Good.
If nobody's exposing the kids to these things, you know. I remember a telephone company filed me down, you know.
Well, it exposed many of us.
Yes.
Because, I mean, many of us are coming from lower middle class families. And if it were for our families alone, many of those things wouldn't get exposed to. I mean, I get exposed to, you know, the debating thing and some of the things I did that exposed me to certain types of places and certain types of opportunities, right? And also, it gave us just that sense of possibility.
Yes.
But here the other thing, though, Leav-i, is when we look at a brand like Tivoli, because remember, Mr. Seaga was in social development as an anthropologist and all the rest of it. And Tivoli was an experiment at social development.
Right.
But look at the brand that has come out of Tivoli. 90% of people would look at Tivoli as garrison, as gunman, as, you know, a range of things that have negative connotations, and not see the healthcare system that was built, the school system that was built, the arts and culture system that was built within that community, the leadership development that was built within that community, right? And those were never things that were modeled by anywhere else. Everybody just think, boy, if you think about Tivoli, West Kingston is a garrison community. Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, man. I think Tivoli, people say it's an experiment gone wrong. I don't think so. The experiment worked, but it's an experiment that was overshadowed by the politics.
All right.
You know, and it's a travesty. Because when you go down there, people down there really strive for a better life.
Yeah.
But people don't talk to Tivoli people.
Well, it's not just Tivoli, because, I mean, what has happened is that garrisons have multiplied, and these enclaves have taken on lives of their own. And there are many who would argue that after a while, Tivoli outgrew the arms of people like Mr. Seaga, right?
Yeah, man. And well, just like I said earlier, the tail grew to wag the dog.
Right.
There is no politician now that have control of garrison. What he does is kind of just facilitate certain things to stay relevant.
Yeah.
But the youth them make them own money. You see, from 1980s, from the 1980 election, from about 82, the youth them start drift go New York, Florida, and these places. You see that drug culture that they went and fomented and built. Once them start make them own money, the politician can't talk to them again.
True.
So they're making them own money. They're funding the communities with guns and everything else that the politicians used to do. All the politicians do now is facilitate shipment of gun coming in, you know. And we can't say that without water in my mouth. And that them are do.
Yeah.
To stay relevant within the community. Otherwise, them not have no voice.
So let me ask you a question. And you know, I have two more things I want to quickly talk about as I look at the clock.
Yeah.
How do we address it? And I'm going to use the backdrop of, you know, many years ago, New York was seen as, you know, having a big crime problem, and the leaders took certain stands. And
it was cleaned up.
And some of it.
Some of it, yeah.
Some of it. Well, what do we need to do as a community?
Families, you know, Donovan. You see, family, we have to start from the family. You build the family, then you build the community. You see, we as black man, I don't know who is listening.
No, man. Yeah,
we are led by our fallacies.
Yeah.
And so we're not into creating families. We're into creating babies. And so you go in and a girl get pregnant and you're gone. Yeah? You're gone. The pressure take her. She fly out and look a better life. So she start send little things in her barrel and thing and feel the youth all right. A child needs parents.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have two parents, you need to have at least one strong parent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I grew up in a one parent family, but my father was always somewhere around the place.
Mm-hmm.
So when the old lady said she got tell the old man, you pull up your socks, but my old lady never, I one of the woman never even have to tell you, so she got tell the old man, she had deal with it straight.
Right.
So you pull up your socks.
Right.
Women cannot raise men. I mean, it's a fallacy. We have seen women do some jobs,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. But we should not expect women to raise men. It needs men to raise men.
Right. Right.
Otherwise, we have this. When a boy reach 16, him mother can't talk to him. And when I talk about raise him for beat him, and when I talk about raise him for just provide money, I'm talking about a man being involved in all facets of youth life. Because if you create a relationship with your son, you never have to beat him one day.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You just
Totally
understand what the program is. That is where we have to start.
Do you think then that the leadership understands this and are investing in any way? And this is not just education, this is social construct, right?
Yeah.
You think the leaders in other communities, whether it's church, school, politics, do they see that as a core solution?
Why? I don't want to sound like all doom and gloom. I have a poem, you see, that we have no leader no more. You can't even turn to the church, because if the pastor out there, I buy a war, him a screw off the little girl them and the little boys.
I'm a Bill Ark.
I better you say that me. Where are the leaders? That is the point,
Yeah.
The point is the leaders need to consider all these things, but where are the leaders?
Yeah, true. All right. So we have a leadership, the core.
We have a leadership.
Core of our solution, and let's segue into another leadership thing. I hear you. The Prime Minister said argument done the other day. And I hear you jump on it. And there are two things. One is you mentioned the indigenous people. I think we're in for an interesting little time as the indigenous Jamaicans, the Maroons, echo their voices, and the leadership determines how they respond. What's your take on what is happening? I'll say this, and without trying to dig up an ant's nest, that I've never seen the Prime Minister so agitated about an issue as he was about what the chief said.
Another one, let me tell you. I saw the leader. Two things, me see him ball, and then me see him come and him say, boy, argument done. And then him up in arms about the Maroon. Him a back up the wrong tree them. I remember when this indigenous argument started to creep in the consciousness of Jamaica in our recent times.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, why is it that this word just afloat around? How come everybody has said Rasta said them indigenous?
Mm-hmm.
And then the Maroon thing start to run with it, and then we have some Rasta friends who were now making a link with the Maroon, and that is for a different conversation. But they were saying collective security for surety. So if they throw in them lot with the Maroon, then them strengthen the Maroon, and them thereby get strength.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember when I started to really think about this Maroon argument, having to do with the indigenousness of them. And I was saying to my wife that, say there was one thing that could make these people indigenous, and we really need to look at it. And then I looked at what Van Sertima uncovered, where we have to understand ourselves as black people around here. We were here before white man bring slavery alone bring around here.
Right.
Black people were coming into the West here, sailing and coming here. There's a current off of the coast of Ghana. If you put a letter in a bottle and drop it into the water, it bring it right into the Caribbean. You know?
Mm-hmm.
And so it was easy to navigate here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? And so even Columbus's memoirs, Columbus said when him come, him see black people.
Right.
All right. So I said to my wife, you know, say this indigenous thing, I'm wondering if Curry was on to something. That's the chief. Because this man is an idiot. This is an educated chief.
Yeah.
You know, the other chief, them used to sound like some man who drink the most rum in the thing and can talk best. You know?
Yeah.
I don't know if that is condescending. But none of them ever.
I talk some things. Yeah. I talk some things. Yeah.
All right. And I'm saying this guy must have an understanding of his history.
Mm-hmm.
If they mingled with the Tainos, what we used to call Arawa,
yeah, right.
See, if they went and ingratiated themselves into the Taino society, because when you are runway, okay, so you run off a plantation, you just go up in the bush, so where you go?
Mm-hmm.
So it stands to reason that they must know where them did I go.
Yeah.
They were going to some people who would have opened arms to them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying if they intermingled, intermarried, interbred, then that is the only way that they could claim to be indigenous.
Right.
And when I check Van Sertima, I check the history of all of that, then they're onto something.
Right.
And so there are conventions that deal with the rights of indigenous people. So this prime minister need to understand how to try.
Yeah, it's interesting because recently in Canada there was a federal decision to compensate some of the indigenous people to the tune of about a little under $2 billion for some what I'm going to say inconsistencies that occurred with treaties around land many over almost 100 years ago. Right?
You mean thieving the people, them like?
Right? There, you know, some effort towards restitution.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me because a couple episodes of this program ago, we're talking about the cockpit country and water, and that, you know, in Alberta we have some issues right now trying to address the watersheds and coal mining and all the rest of it.
Right.
And I was saying it's a very similar thing happening in the cockpit country, and both the environmentalists and you know what we describe as the indigenous people are saying you can't do this.
Yeah.
Right. There are some things that you need to consider. So as the story breaks around, you know, the chief and the prime minister's response, and I'm like, there is the need for Jamaicans to pause and question. You know, I'm not saying, you know, make a decision, but question what is there in this story that has both the shape and the smell and the look of similar things in other countries. And not because we're small, it negates the need to pause. I was a little taken aback at the PM's response. You know, it's almost like over my dead body, this is not going to happen. And I'm like, okay, no argument done. Same thing happened with the COVID thing now, brother.
You got this, huh?
Yeah, man, I got this.
You're going to make my friend me no Rasta. Because I promised myself I am going to start dumb down my voice because the chasm has been widened and people, you know. But what we have is, and it, like you say, it's the same thing. If you divide a people,
right,
then you can sell them anything, you know.
Yeah.
What we have in a Jamaica, the regular Jamaican, especially if him have little means, will never understand or try to understand the Maroons' position.
Yeah.
Because we're a people that like to have one up on the next man. The Maroon, them are some little man in the bush. In fact, when the brother left him good job now, nice masters and could have sit down in our cool office, down about him there, a bush, a plant ganja.
And blow up.
That is how we like to think about these people.
Yeah.
Because we're so divided. This thing of the Willie Lynch syndrome whether true or untrue, as to its evolution and its beginning, it real amongst we're divided and we like to be divided because I don't know if it is that coming out of slavery. A lot of us want to know, identify with the ruling class, with the bourgeois. We're the new. In fact, we get, remember, so we not fight for the independence shown here, I know some man decides, okay, we want now take over, and they take over and they are now the new bourgeois class. And people want to belong to that class. So we fight each other to say we belong there, not understanding that all of we in the same boat. Nobody really, you look like you have a leg in, but it's just an illusion of inclusion. It's a joke.
Yeah.
We really need to look at the broader picture. Who are we as a people and how should we live together as a people? How do we start? Remember, we were unionized people.
Yeah.
You think saying of them days and a boy I could have tell you about you're not vaccinated? you have to come out of the work if you're not vaccinated. They could not tell us that.
True.
We stood together.
Yeah.
We chain up gate and we shut down them system.
Yeah.
No, people who vaccinated are lauded over you.
But isn't that back to a principle that I mentioned earlier of the majority, the silent majority, and many have accepted that, you know what, for convenience or whatever it is, and the voices have kind of shut back. And like you said, they don't crystallize to defend anything. For anybody who has looked on, and I'm not saying not to get vaccinated or to get vaccinated. I'm not guiding anybody on any path.
Exactly.
What I know is that many of the arguments that are being put forward by the leaders is nonsense.
No make no sense.
The logic is so lost that anybody looking at it should be saying, all right, something isn't making any sense here. How do we address that in order to get to an outcome, right? And the other part of it is, how long can the silence be effective? Because after a while, somebody going to treat your silence as consent.
Exactly. But you see, nobody wants to be criticized. And that is the problem. If you talk up, then you're pilloried, you're tired and feathered and things. So everybody are try to hold it down, and who don't want to take the vaccine, don't want them voice to be heard because I'm going to look like the odd one out. But in Jamaica, the situation is that you are not the odd one out. You belong to the 80%.
Yeah.
And they're not considering that. In fact, I keep telling my vaccinated friends who glad when businesses are say, if you're not vaccinated, you can't come to work. I'm saying to them, can you imagine if the 80% of us lay down arms?
Yeah, that means stop by your place. Right? And in fact, we're already seeing the impact of it. You look at the contraction that is happening in economies all across, right? You look at the aviation sector, for example, right? Where everybody has found all kinds of excuses as to why flights are canceled and all the rest of it, right? And it's a function of, after a while, it starts having its effect. The supply chain systems all across the world. I know where I work right now, we're looking at major delays across supply chains. Inflation is and there's this connected effect that is starting to affect all of us, vaccinated and unvaccinated.
And
I think there's a point where we have to pause and say, okay, how does the leadership across all our nations, because it's not just a Jamaica thing, I hear Mia Matley make some noise around it the other day of saying that, if you don't help take care of us and we take care of you, all of us go down with this, right? So in the event that you think, like I said, the man on the hill who missed the fact that every day he have to drive past the man at the foot of the hill, how else it can work?
Number one, I've been saying, you see, that where there's a problem, and as wide as this problem has presented itself, each territory have to look inside for its solution. It cannot be a one size fit all.
True.
In Jamaica, when the pandemic hit, you have a few doctors led by a guy who actually challenged for the Doctors Association president, and them mash him up.
Mm-hmm.
He came out and said, look, this thing is absolutely treatable.
Right.
He came out and said, like any disease, early detection, early treatment is your best option.
Right.
He came out and said there's a cocktail that they have developed that works absolutely. I don't know if I can say ivermectin by your show. But
yeah,
because that is a word now taboo.
Yeah. Them say no, that's a horse treatment.
that a horse drug. It absolutely works.
Yeah,
I've seen it. And the man was pilloried.
Yeah.
And while he's saying that, he's saying the vaccine may provide you another level of protection if it becomes available and you're up to that.
Yeah.
Absolutely go out and make it avail yourself with this thing, right? Them say the man is an anti-vaxxer.
Yeah. Well, any such claim. I had a guy on our show once, Dr. Rowling, and he was talking about some of the things.
I saw that one.
Right. And he, has gotten a lot of criticism in the United States for some of the positions that he has taken in terms of, viruses mutate. So if you think by just creating one vaccine, solves all the problem. And it's kind of funny because here we are, 4th wave, 5th wave, who knows? And I'm like, but, we've had the flu every year and we have found ways to deal with it and to navigate. And I'm no doctor, so, make sure I put the disclaimer. So anybody listening, I'm not claiming that I'm an epidemiologist or anything like that. What I know and what I have seen is that some of the pronouncements at the various political levels has lacked logic, has lacked the backing of science, and we have just watched it play itself out right in front of our eyes.
But they will tell you right? that the science is what they're dealing with, and them have them GMO.
No.
Them have them GMO. I come out and I spread some foo-foo argument, and because the GMO says so.
That's a PR, man. We're talking about logic. We're talking about logic. And as we come up to wrap up, and all of those who have stayed on, thanks for staying on, right? There was a time when, I heard somebody say the other day, boy, they had said the unvaccinated can't travel, and the virus travels. And then so all of a sudden, there's a new strain traveling. and the question is, well, who would I travel with? But I don't want to get into the science of it. I want to talk about, the leadership of it, of back to, like you said, and maybe this is the big takeaway from this discussion. Leaders have to lead.
Exactly.
It is the responsibility that some of them have inherited, some of them have assumed, some of them have been elected for. Leaders have to lead, and leaders have to try their best to be genuine in their leadership. Of course, they're going to have positions, right? And that is totally understandable. But at the end of the day, right, there is this desire for them to lead. All right. One last thing, before, remember a tune I'm going to play that you did 2011, like 10 years ago. And it's funny because I'm watching the video and I'm like, boy, that tune should have did come out in a different time.
Yeah.
And maybe people will see it differently. All right, I'm gonna keep you on while I play it, right?
Okay.
Folks, another tune from a person.
Oh, hey, there's a fire deep down inside that makes me a winner. And this burning I cannot hide makes me feel I should get up and go. But from the trenches I will rise, I'm a diamond. And I will shine, there's no chain that can hold me back. 'Cause I've got this blood in my veins, must be the sunshine. Oh, sunshine. Oh, oh, hey, there's a feeling I get inside whenever I go away. Must be the rhythm that beats to my heart. I hear on the streets every day, and from the gutter, it makes me rise. I'm a diamond, and I will shine. There's no chain that can hold me back, 'cause I've got this blood in my veins. Must be the sunshine. Oh, 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 Jamaican sunshine. Oh, 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 must be the sunshine. Oh, 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 Jamaican sunshine. Oh, oh, I'm singing from the trenches.
You remember them tune there, brother?
That song was a third place winner in the festival song competition of that year.
You know, if that wasn't a festival song, that possibly a Leav-i and another thing. Wicked tune, my brother.
Yeah, I want to tell you, it was that year they were having problems with getting good songs, and so the minister herself at the time, it was Babsy, and she contacted me, and because she know, the capability I have of writing and thing, and we put it together, and that is what came out. And we are talking about just the Jamaican spirit, what cause we feel be like we are, we are just we, it's a different kind of human being.
Yeah, so it's one of those that you. All right, let me take off that. Yeah, you listen to that and you're like, boy, that is such a powerful tune about us and the energy and the things that make us proud, in spite of, right? In spite of all the ills and the dysfunctions and the things that we see and challenge every day. There are certain elements of Jamaica which I think we all continue to embrace. No matter where we go, we still have those seeds that are planted in us. All right, brethren, this has been an awesome reasoning. But
yeah, man.
The clock a tick down. For anybody who jumped on late, like I said, check out Livi's stuff on YouTube. Rhymes and reasoning, some poetry and some commentary and some music and in the fresh backyard with them glass of water and thing, and
I mean, I know you guys will miss the sun, but don't have me up feet,
I mean, Sunday or someone, you think Sunday? I mean, the fact that the temperature is a little different means the sun shine, man, trust me.
Okay.
Right?
I know that, but it does not feel the same way,
Well, I agree, but just like your 40 degrees is not necessarily my thing. Right? So, anyway, brother, I appreciate the time and the reasoning and the connection. Like I said, long time. We not touch base.
I must say this. I thank you for having me, and I love what it is you're doing. I must let the people know that when we worked together, you were one of the guys that I used to look up to, because I was kind of more trying to find myself. You basically knew what you were about, and you were really serious and focused. Me was, I was kind of doing my thing, but looking on and saying, yeah, here's a youth, And yeah, man, it's nice to see the work you're doing, and we follow it every now and then. We're listening and thing, and we love it,
Yes, brother. Well, respect. Take care of yourself. Keep doing your thing, and we'll connect at some other point, eh?
Yeah, man. We look forward to it.
All right, respect.
And I say blessings to your audience,
Yeah,
One love.
Yeah, all right, sounds good. All right, folks. Reasoning with our brethren, Andy Livingston. Like I said, check him out on YouTube and other places where he's at, sharing his rhymes and reasoning about culture, about arts, about leadership, and all kinds of things. For those who have joined us late, the pata word of the day was hydrin, if you know what it means. And I see lots of comments going on here. Frenchie, thanks for jumping on. Sarah Malina, Dave, everybody, big up on yourself. Thanks for sharing. For those who also didn't see Gwaan National, we're working on it, and we're looking for a host. If you know somebody who understands Jamaican culture, Jamaican language, who is energetic and personable, who communicates well, who manages time, let them touch base with me. And you don't have to be in Canada. You can be anywhere across the world once you fit that criteria. Jump on our social platforms, like us, and yeah, we'll share some content a little bit about Gwaan National in those spaces. Next week we're going to be at it again, doing another version of Gwaan. Hope you found this one useful. We're going to help end with just a chilling sounds of Carib Nocturne. See if we can find it. Should show up here in a little bit. All right, here we go. All right, take care, everybody. Stay good. COVID's still around. Enjoy life. Until next week. Take care. Big up, Glenn. Big up.